So forget about Buffy the Vampire Slayer. It's time for Abraham Lincoln, Vampire Hunter. That's right. It's a new movie depicting the 16th president as an axe-wielding menace bent on destroying an army of vampires.
Presume you know what I can do with this.
I know what you can do against one vampire. But against 20?
This is all based on the book by the same name from the author who wrote Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, Seth Grahame-Smith. He says producers worked hard to stay respectful of history and says they never wanted to make Honest Abe look like, quote-unquote, an idiot. The film even consulted with the Abraham Lincoln Presidential Library and Museum. This video is kind of distracting. Joining me now from Springfield, Illinois, to talk a little bit more about this is Dave Blanchette, the deputy director of that museum. Thanks for coming in this morning, Dave. Clearly...
Good morning, Kate.
Good morning. Clearly, this movie takes creative liberties, we should say, with Lincoln's life. But from your perspective, as kind of one of the experts on this, how close does the movie, since you've gotten a bit of a tease of it, how close does this stick to the idea of Honest Abe?
Well, there are a couple of facts that are accurate in the movie. There was a guy named Abraham Lincoln. He was president during this thing called the Civil War, and he was handy with an axe. But let's face it, it is a fantasy. The producers and the author admit that it's a fantasy. So our main interest in this is that we hope people will be entertained enough by the movie to want to learn about the real Lincoln and the real Civil War and visit places like the Presidential Library and Museum to find out the real story. So we're hoping that it generates interest in Lincoln and the Civil War.
And you have said that previously, that it's this movie kind of gives you a rare opportunity to maybe a rare window in reaching a new audience. Have you had that reach yet? What's the reaction been?
Oh, we've certainly reached that audience. When Seth Grahame-Smith debuted the book, we hosted a book signing and we had a record crowd at the library and museum. There's certainly a lot of people that came to that that are interested in vampires who otherwise wouldn't even think of setting foot in a presidential library. And so we are reaching a new audience, and we're turning them into history buffs as well as vampire buffs. So that's part of our mission, is to teach people about history, and any way we can open the door to that educational lesson, we're certainly willing to try to do that.
No, I'm sure people kind of hearing the Abraham Lincoln Vampire Slayer or Vampire Hunter would not think that the first group that would be a fan of the film would be the history buffs. So what do you think of this film? Is it a fun take on a well-known historical figure, or is there some level of this kind of reaching the level of mocking what many consider to be a great president?
Well, the author and producers were very careful. As they said, they didn't want to make Lincoln look like an idiot. They make him look like a kind of a superhero. And really, when you look at Lincoln's real life, that's not too far from the truth. I mean, he was a wrestler, he was an inventor, he was a literary genius, he helped keep the nation together during one of the worst crises in our history. So painting Lincoln as a superhero is really not that far off the mark. Now, killing vampires, of course, that's fantasy, but we encourage people, if they enjoy the movie, to come and learn about the real Lincoln, and we think they will be really entertained by Lincoln's real life as well.
Well, we will see. I'm definitely entertained and intrigued. We'll say the movie does hit theaters June 22nd. Dave Blanchette of the Abraham Lincoln Presidential Library and Museum, thank you so much for coming in this morning.
My pleasure.